When I turn on the news in the morning, there's a pattern in the stories presented, and it usually goes in this sequence: coronavirus fear, and then Black Lives Matter or anti-police outrage, and then Joe Biden is in the lead. Fear, outrage, Biden is inevitable. Always in that order. See if you can spot that pattern the next time you tune in. But because they're cramming stories into a predetermined narrative sequence, sometimes the stories aren't a perfect fit, and the length of the story is usually a pretty good tell. The aim is not getting at the truth of the matter. The aim is making sure that the stories of the day can be presented in a way that leads you down the path that they want you led. Fear, outrage, Biden is inevitable. The shorter the story, the more they can leave out. And Wednesday's Rage piece was a great example. The story presented is a man in Phoenix was just sitting in his car when the police approached him and shot him dead. And notice what leads the story: the outrage, not the facts.
Overnight, new calls for justice. Protesters demanding answers in the police killing of 28-year-old James Garcia. The tense confrontation captured on a bystander's cell phone camera on the 4th of July. Officers shouting at Garcia, sitting inside this parked car, then firing a barrage of bullets. The video doesn't clearly show what happened in the moments before the gunfire or what else led up to the incident.
Protesters demand answers. The video doesn't clearly show what happened, as though there aren't answers, and as though there isn't additional video that does show what happened. Go digging into the story more and you'll find that relevant information sometimes, but often buried under noise. The cops escalated the situation out of nowhere, witnesses say. The man's sister said he was just sleeping unarmed in the car. Yeah, just taking a nap in his car in the 110-degree Phoenix sun. It's very soothing, actually, when it's not lethal. Just don't try it with your newborn. I hate to just assume these stories are crap, but police brutality stories are quickly becoming as bunk as the bi-weekly claim of a news thread that turns out to be a park swing, or a garage pull, or just an outright hoax. I'll gladly follow the evidence, but just give me the evidence, not insane, silly premises to start. Nobody takes a nap in the car in the hot Phoenix afternoon sun. So what are we actually dealing with here? It all starts with a 911 call on Saturday made from a Phoenix home. A man called the police to report that another man who had tried to kill him prior had returned, threatening to kill him with a knife. The caller claimed to have been previously hospitalized after having been stabbed by this man.
What is the emergency occurring?
Yeah, that last week somebody hit me with a knife, and I'm going to the hospital for a couple of days, and the police looking for the guy. The guy is right here and trying to do the same thing again.
He has a knife?
Yeah, he's trying to kill me again.
Police arrived at the caller's house. The caller said the man with the knife had moved to a different residence, so police moved to that residence. And that's where they encountered Jay Garcia, the man taking the sauna nap in his car. According to a police spokeswoman, officers talked to Garcia for about 10 minutes, asking him to leave the area so they could secure the scene. The spokeswoman says eventually Garcia pulled a gun on the cops. Officers ordered him to drop it and he refused. She says Garcia repeatedly told the cops to shoot him and then lifted the gun toward the cops, at which point they shot Garcia. The prior news piece claimed it's not clear what led up to the shooting, but the same bystander cell phone footage they use does show some of it, and it is clear that this was not a hasty, trigger-happy decision by the cops. From where the clip starts, there's a solid 20 seconds of video showing the police giving Garcia instructions and warning him they will shoot prior to firing. And even after that blunt warning, there are 10 more seconds of time and warning before the shots are fired. So while not everything that led up to the shooting is on publicly available video, it is clear there was a lot of talking and a lot of time for decision making for the man who was shot. Now, does that prove that the shooting was justified? Not necessarily, but it does cut against the idea that the police are just out hunting random innocents for execution. You'll recall that Garcia's sister had said he was just an unarmed napper of peace, but it turns out that's as true as his sweaty slumber itself, because it's not just a police claim that he was armed. Video proves it. Phoenix PD released body cam footage showing a Glock recovered from the car immediately after the shooting.
Can we retrieve the gun and get him out and get him to fire? Where's the gun?
You good right here?
It's in his lap.
It's in his lap?
Moving, so watch crosswalk.
Gun is secure.
Now again, does that prove that Garcia threatened the cops? Not necessarily, but it's not a good look, and it's certainly not the unarmed car sauna nap that we were told about. Note the cop didn't have to dig for the Glock either. It was right there in Garcia's lap. It wasn't in a holster, it wasn't in the glove compartment, it was not secure. It had to have fallen from Garcia's hands, and Garcia had plenty of time to surrender that threat, as we saw in the prior cell phone footage. And so it stands to reason he did not surrender that threat. We can't see Garcia point the gun in any of the available footage as far as I can tell, but I'm more inclined to believe that happened than I am to believe that police just took a detour from their urgent matter of finding an alleged attempted murderer to hit their quota for killing innocent civilians for sport. In fairness, though, we can't see everything that happened. Maybe you're thinking we need to see the full body cam footage, not just part of it. And I agree, more information is better than less. But we must also acknowledge, though, that even the footage we have seen is thanks to a gesture outside of normal police protocol. Phoenix PD's practice is not to release any footage until after prosecutors have reviewed the case, a rule they bent in this case to address misinformation being spread about the story. And there is footage from the body cams of the officers who shot. Apparently 2 of them did, but that footage will not be released until after the investigation is complete. Now, it is of course possible that there's more than meets the eye here, but everything I've seen so far doesn't point to murder by cop. It points to suicide by cop. If the police come to speak with you and you pull a gun and you ignore their instructions to stop and you point the gun at them, allegedly, we're not leaving the police much choice. That is squarely a defensive scenario. And I invite facts to the contrary. I invite correcting this video when it's revealed that this was all a big police cover-up of the 100-degree car nap gone wrong. But that's the point. Follow the facts. The headlines on this story didn't just fail to wait for the facts, they actually obscured them. Phoenix police kill man in parked car. Phoenix police shot and killed a man in a parked car. Phoenix protesters demand answers after police fatally shoot man parked in driveway. The Washington Post's original headline they revised was Phoenix police under fire after viral video shows officers fatally shooting a man. The irony, of course, being that police were a split second away from actually being under fire, a fact that should rewrite these headlines if truth or honesty were the aim, and a fact that was available on the day these headlines were published, or in some cases, for several days prior. But instead, protester outrage is the lead, and the facts of the story will trickle in later with far less reach because it's not about the truth. It's about the agenda. Fear, rage, Biden is in the lead. Keep track of how much of the information you're presented is directed at getting you to believe one of these 3 things. Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel. Always appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below and especially over on Twitter. That is at ML Christiansen. You're always welcome to coming out and chat in my live streams. Those are linked down in the description. Looking forward to it. Goodbye.